we weren't Catholic. They sent me to Catholic school because the public school was run down or leaked, something bad in their minds. They weren't religious, they were practical. They looked at other schools, other private schools, secular ones, but the money was crazy. Mom said, we can't afford that. Dad said, we don't want her hanging out with all those rich kids. I never knew if they chose Catholic school because we could afford it or because we were snobs. Whatever the reason, Our Lady of the Sacred Whatever got me. So imagine, you're 6 years old, you have no religious experience, and your mom and dad walk you into a strange building, and the first thing you see is a life-size statue of what looks like a homeless man nailed to a cross. Is it any wonder I cried when they left me there? Catholic school mostly was reading, writing, and arithmetic, and Hail Mary, which I liked because I was fast at memorizing and got high praise. And the rosary was my only piece of grown-up jewelry. Don't lose it, don't let it get rusty. When I showed it to Mom and Dad, I asked, will it bring me luck like a rabbit's foot? Mom and Dad were decidedly disinterested in answering my questions about my rosary or my Hail Mary. This gave me concern because by then I knew about the immortal soul. I wasn't worried about my immortal soul because I thought that was something you got when you got older. But theirs, my parents, not baptized, didn't pray, didn't go to church, didn't own a Bible or a rosary, much less know how to pray with one. Even though they were adept at changing the subject whenever I brought up souls, when they saw my worried little face and heard my worried little concerns, they hugged me hard and promised not to do anything to tarnish their souls or not to die for a really long time. They were stalling until I was old enough to hear, there's no Santa Claus. What? What about all those thank you letters you made me write to him? It was important, they said, for me to show gratitude. To them, it was all the same. No Easter Bunny, no Santa Claus, no Jesus God. Oh, and December 25th, the pagans chose that date so they could secretly celebrate solstice. Oh, and the reason we put up Christmas lights is to fit in with the neighbors. They dump all this on me when I'm 9. They were my parents. I love them above all things, people, and presents. I had to believe them. But what I didn't have to do was share this point of view with the nuns. What I did instead was secretly open my eyes during prayer, to mouth the words to Beatles songs during rosary, and to get in line for a wafer even though I hadn't been to confession. Then my friend, Mary Jo McDonough, jumped off the swing and broke her back. Ambulance, sirens, chaos, possible paralysis, big scary surgery. In assembly, we all bowed our heads. The priest asked for divine intervention, and everybody in the room prayed, except me, for Mary Jo to walk again. So, 6 weeks later, when Mary Jo limped back to school, I confronted my parents with this miracle. It wasn't the prayer, they said. It was the miracle of modern medicine. But everybody got to thank Jesus. I didn't get to thank anybody. If you want to thank somebody, you can thank her doctor. I did. I made a card. I got the address. I bought a stamp. While all my school chums glowed from an internal flame when they thanked the homeless man. I have to admit, This prayer thing made me jealous. You didn't even have to buy a stamp to send a prayer. I became a scientist to rebel not against parents, but against the religious fervor of my Catholic school. Biology, to underscore my belief in evolution, and then genetics. Genetics, come on, CRISPR. We are curing sickle cell, for Pete's sake. That's where the real miracles happen, underneath the microscope. Maybe. My last year of graduate school, I drive home Christmas Eve. Christmas. Of course it was Christmas. The house is ablaze as if we're believers. A gigantic Christmas tree underneath are 1,000 wrapped boxes. My dad loved giving presents. Mom and Dad are beaming. I'm home, and I have gone to great lengths to look as if I'm taking care of myself. Tomorrow, we will start the day with mimosas and waffles and those too many presents. So, Christmas Day, I wake up to the sound of this horrible hacking. It's my mother in the bathroom trying to clear her throat. She's a smoker. Oh, not a ton, just 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 cigarettes a day. Not like it's a whole pack. She tried to quit once, years before, when my dad quit. She lasted 2 days. The end of the second day, she kicked in the glass doors of the china cabinet and began playing frisbee with the dinner plates. She was one of those people for whom quitting smoking was more like trying to kick heroin. Me and Dad decided to try to believe that 9 cigarettes a day weren't dangerous, not like a whole pack. So, Mom in the bathroom hacking up phlegm, Dad in the kitchen making waffles. I go to Dad. What's with Mom? What are you talking about, he says, not looking at me but beating the egg whites with the electric mixer. That cough, it sounds like she's at death's door. It's the same cough as usual, he says, still fascinated by these ever-thickening egg whites. I take the mixer away from him and make him look at me. I can tell by the way his face falls that it's a lot worse than he's letting on. I feel my heart rise into my throat. Oh, dear God, please, please. I say it out loud. I don't know. Is that a prayer? Mom bounds into the kitchen, beautiful, beaming. Me and Dad changed the expressions on our face. Happy Christmas! What could be better? That night, dinner is great until Mom lights up and I start to die inside. Dad has gone to the kitchen and gotten the coffee and the dessert. Not pumpkin pie, which we all hate, but cheesecake, the way they make it in Brooklyn. I'm looking at the cheesecake when I glance over at Mom, who has been uncharacteristically quiet for almost a whole minute. She looks as if she's staring into the deepest part of outer space. The cigarette is burning down in her fingers. The room is way too quiet. I'm about to say something, speak, give her a poke, something, when all of a sudden her eyes focus and her weight shifts as if she's just landed. She puts out the cigarette and she takes the knife from Dad to cut the cake. 2 days later, I'm back at school. Dad calls. Mom hasn't smoked. She smashed her favorite painting, and she beat her pillow until the feathers flew. Oh, and Dad found her standing in the closet, clutching her pack of Kents. But she didn't light up. Her behavior is driving him crazy. I tell him to hold on. I'll drive home for New Year's. I've got to get there before her withdrawal weirdness drives him to the point where he forces a cigarette on her. I must prevent that at all costs. When I get there, it's the same as the first time she tried to quit. But this time, she's resolved. She's in agony, but she's resolved. I am so supportive. Oh, shut the fuck up! It's my mother. I have never heard this. I sit back in my chair like I'm waiting for an explanation, but really I'm just too frightened to speak. She launches into her story. It was Christmas night, right before dessert. 1 minute I'm looking forward to cheesecake, and the next I'm going up. Not metaphor, I was going up. A gigantic hand had reached inside me and grabbed hold of my soul and my consciousness and was taking me up. It felt like taking off in a 747, up to the ceiling, through the roof, out into the night sky, nothing around us but blackness and stars. Us. The hand was connected to a being. The being is wearing a shroud. The being looks like the way Gary Larson draws death in his cartoons, but it's not funny. The being has a hold of me, not letting me escape. And if I did escape, I'd fall the 2,000 miles down to the dining room table below. No sound except the ringing in my ears. The being and I look down at the three mortals below. And all I know is I have to quit smoking. No words are exchanged, and none are needed. I am returned to my body. I am returned to the dining room table. I stub out the cigarette, and I enter hell. This is hell. Do you understand me? This is hell. But, I say as benignly as a mouse, you aren't going to smoke. She F-bombs me again. But she doesn't smoke. Ever. She gets better. And Dad buys plastic plates, only by then she'd stopped hurling them. And me, I am grateful. And there's a funny thing about gratitude. It has to go somewhere.